Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel again, and today I will be sharing all of my SME attempt 2 questions with you all. And yes, this is one of the most awaited video, and I have tried to cover almost all of the questions that were asked to me in my SME last attempt for the Salesforce domain interview, SME interview basically. And yes, so further not wasting the time, moving forward. So the interview duration was 45 minutes. Basically, it was scheduled for me between 11 to 11:45 a.m. And the interviewer started the interview with the task that were given in the remedial phase. So there was some task given to me in the gap between SME first attempt and the second attempt. There were some supervises, some trailhead modules, and some business unit tasks like flows and some SQL queries that were given to me to complete in that 10 days gap. And so firstly she asked me to show all the modules completion status, then she asked me to run the flows that were given in that task and the triggers to explain and like how they are performing, how you are you can say implementing it in the org. Then the she asked to run all the queries, like 4 to 5 queries were there, so I run them in the developer console. So that was all, and it took around 10 to 15 minutes of time. And the next, so she started with the interview questions, and the first question was the scenario, and from this scenario only further she asked some around 7 to 8 questions. So she gave a scenario like there is some parent and child and strongly dependent, like when she is you can say updating the record, like increasing or decreasing, then the subsequently records are increasing decreasing in both. And then she want something account entity, like which will show the number of records, like if she had increased, then it should display the increased records like how they are now, and if she had decreased, then same also should be displayed. So I explained her like we would be creating a master detail relationship in this scenario, and also we will create a roll up summary field, and the operation will be count operation. So this was the answer for I gave for this scenario, and yes, it was correct. Next, she asked like what are the other operations that can be performed using roll up summary field. So count was included in the first question, and then I answered like sum, min, and max are others. So from that scenario only she is asking the questions now. And the next question was, what if like if we have a lookup relationship, then how will you perform the previous scenario? So here she has trickier the question. Like in master detail we can create the roll up summary and it went all right, and using you can say the admin part only we are done. So now if we have lookup relationship, then how will you perform? So firstly I answered like ma'am, we can convert lookup into master. Then she you can say stopped in between, and then she asked like no, I want only lookup relationship, and from lookup only I want to achieve the same situation. So I told like we can use the triggers. And further she asked like next question, now tell in detail like which trigger, how will you implement this scenario using trigger, like which event and what operation you will be using to achieve this you can say to further proceed in this scenario. So I told like event will be after event, like we will be using the after trigger, and operation here we will be using the insert, update, and delete, because firstly we are inserting the records, okay, and update we will be using because we are increasing or decreasing the values in between. If we are increasing, then for that, if we are increasing or decreasing, so for both these update will be there. And delete is also used because we are deleting the records also. So operations will be all three, and event will be after event. Then the next question was, okay, so she gave another scenario, like this scenario was very simple for me. Like she asked like, okay, there are some fields there, and using these one field you want to update the data into the another field. So it was quite simple, like I told like we can use automation process. We need not to go into the you can say the trigger or the development part. So I told like we can use workflow rules. Now the next question from this scenario only, she asked like what are the actions or operations that can be performed using workflow rules. So I told like we can perform the four actions. First, like create a task, send an email alert, outbound message, update a record. So it went like. Now the next question was, yes, it was the, you can say, the question that was new for me, but I read it somewhere in my preparation only. And she asked like what define the MVC model. So firstly I defined the MVC model like, okay, like what is the model part, what is the view, what is the controller. Okay, a model here is the data part, view is the user interface part, and the controller here is the controlling logic or the business logic part. Now further she asked like explain the MVC model in terms of the Salesforce part. In terms of the Salesforce, define the MVC model. So explained her like, okay, in terms of Salesforce, if you talk about model will be the objects, fields or relationships, and view part will be the page layouts, tabs or visual force pages. Controller will be the like business logics or controlling logics like triggers, apex and workflow rules. So basically MVC model is a, you can say, the pattern or the model which is used to design the various softwares or the applications. It is the model by which is used to, you can say, the design the various applications. So I defined it in the terms of the Salesforce also. So the next question she asked me, now she moved to the Aura and the LWC. She asked like the differences between the Aura and the Lightning Web components. So here I explained in my previous videos also, like you have to give the differences, like you can give the differences two to three differences in terms of their you can say in terms of their visibility or the main differentiating part, and other can be the like why LWC are preferred over Aura. If we had Aura components earlier, then why LWC came into frame. So question can be asked in two to three ways. So I gave the differences. Then she asked me another trickier question like by looking to the code of both the components Aura and the LWC, how will you find like it is an Aura component or it is an LWC component? So it was a trickier, but somehow I clicked in something clicked in my mind. Like I read somewhere like there is some annotation called @Aura enabled, and which is used in the Aura components, and there is not such any annotation in the LWC components. So I answered her like that, ma'am, there is some Aura enabled annotation which we use in the Aura component. So that may be the differentiating part in both by looking to the code. So she was quite impressed, and yes, she also told like that only the answer she was expecting. So it was you can say good point for me. And the next question was differentiate between the classic and the lightning experience in Salesforce. So classic is the older version and lightning experience is that we are it is the currently or the newer version. So here I gave three to four differences, like something on the user difference and some differences related to the dashboards, and there is some blocking feature in lightning which is not in classic. So I gave three to four differences like that. And the next question was, she asked like, okay, define the test class and its uses. So I defined the test class like basically the apex test classes which we did in our development part. I gave the definition and also some rules like coverage, like more than 70% should be there or something like that, and also told about the uses like why it is used, like it is used to check the accuracy of the code for the apex class. So it went like. And the next question, okay, so it was also one of the new question and the trickier. And she asked like, okay, there is some annotation called is test see all data is equal to true. Do you know this? So I read it somewhere and I told like, ma'am, it is used to give some data access. I told her like that only. So it was 50% correct. Then she corrected me like, okay, yes, you are, but there is some further improvement in your answer. Like it is used to give data access to our org records, and it is used in the test classes. So that was the answer for that. So this question was also asked in reference to the previous question. So that only thing I told in my previous videos, like if you are answering any question, then further the questions will be asked in relation to the previous questions only. Okay. So the next question was, what are the context variables and their uses? So I told the definition, like what are context variables in triggers, and what are their uses, how they are used, and it went like. And next question from this in reference to this question was only like, okay, she asked like what are the types and how many types of the context variables are there. So I gave all the names, and like I said like there's something 12 in number, and like I gave the basic names of these context variables, like is insert, new map, old map, etc. And there were some few more questions like batch apex and its methods, and one scenario was there on Aura components which I don't remember now, and some more questions which I don't remember now, like some 3 to 4 questions were also there which I am currently not remembering, and yes, these were asked to me. So almost I have covered 70 to 80% of the questions which were asked to me in my SME second attempt. So you can see the level of the questions that were asked. Okay, so you have to be prepared for that level. And yes, mostly scenario part will be there, and you have to be ready with all of the you can say the applications and all of the part which you have studied in your training. I said in my previous video that you don't have to skip even a single topic. Everything can be asked, and at least and only yes, a single to single topic can be asked. The topic that you seems like okay that won't be asked, only that can be asked. The scene is like that only. So the second attempt was quite trickier and mostly scenario based only. So you can see the level of the questions, and you can refer the questions like, and subsequently you can prepare for your SME attempt. So that's all in this video, and yes, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you are finding the videos helpful and informative